Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot. Oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls. This is Spooky October, and I think we have probably one of the spookiest episodes ever for everybody tonight, PK. So it's our own personal stories that we really haven't shared on the air with our audience. So we decided tonight was the night. So we're going to be sharing our personal experiences because, as you know, for us, paranormal is normal. Both PK and myself, we've grown up with the paranormal as a best friend, and we've had some very exciting adventures. You're going to hear about them tonight. But first, PK, what do you got?
Well, the good old story is this month is a preview of next year, folks. No way of getting away from it. It's the way it is. Pay attention. Keep a pad of paper next to your bed. Little things are going to zip up in the mind. Write them down. You're going to be surprised how you can elaborate on them and make a big difference of what's taking place, because we're looking at endings of old things to make way for the new. We are now in our 9th year. This month is a preview of this coming year in total. So hang on to this side of the boat, folks, because we're going to have to ride the waves. And trust me, there's going to be some big ones.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
Not going to be an easy time. Anytime we deal with endings and wrapping up the old, we keep trying to put a flower on this hat when this hat's one of those clutches you just pull down. You don't stick anything on it because it's not going to work and it's not going to stay. It's a time when we have to let go of what no longer works in our world to open the doors for what we've got coming towards us. And if we let go of what we've got from the past, we will be able to really look at making the future better than ever. But we have to let go of parts of it. And everybody, for some reason, we're collectors. If I hang on to it long enough, maybe it'll change. No, it won't. Let it go. It'll make it a lot easier emotionally. After all, what the heck? Why not take a ride on the wild side? Let go of something. You might be surprised at the other end of the swing.
Is it time to clean out the closet, literally? I mean,
my God, yes.
Okay.
People, places, and things that no longer fit, say goodbye. Sayonara. Open the door. Do a push. I have a thing that I tell clients, things that you want to get rid of. Thinking of yourself, this big bag next to you. And as these things pop up, shove them in the bag. And now this bag is finally filled. And when you get in the car next time, take the bag with you. And as you go down the road, drop the window, throw the bag out. You don't care where it goes. It's just not coming home anymore.
There you go. I like it.
It's a lot easier to think about.
Yes.
After all, we're creatures of habit. We want to hang on to what we know isn't good.
Yeah.
Because we think it's going to get better. Well, It can, maybe, but the odds are if we let go of something, the door is now open for something plus positive to come to us, not just a possible thing sliding through. We're looking for more than just a little bit. Don't we want the best of everything? I'm jealous. I want everything.
Yeah. And the best of everything. Yes.
Of course.
I'm right with you.
Oh,
absolutely. We need that.
My mind. Oh, yes. And when we're working on taking a look at letting go, every morning when you wake up and you look in the mirror, that's your new best friend. Mm-hmm. Let's tell her or him, hello, and what can I do for you today? And build from that moment forward instead of looking in the mirror and going, oh, Christ, today it looks like heck, look at me. And then everything goes downward. So instead, do the reverse. What can I do for you today? to
Right.
make it a special day.
It's a wonderful idea. So many people wake up and they can't wait for the day to be over. What a
Exactly.
terrible way to live. So,
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
we encourage everybody to change that. So,
this way you've got opportunities, and that's the most important part. We have opportunities.
yes.
Not-
And miracles are everywhere. You know, the angels are looking out for you. The interdimensionals are all around us, which we're going to talk about. And there's all kinds of miracles that you can draw into your life. So we support our audience in bringing those miracles in and having the best possible life.
Why shouldn't we?
Right.
After all, it's all available. It just depends on what we want to do with it.
That's right. That's right. That's why we bring these guests to you every single week to help you with that, to open your minds, to share with you their own experiences so that you can have hope.
Definitely.
Maybe
That's
use
so
some of
important.
those techniques that they are bringing to us and
Mhm.
create something better. So yeah, we have all kinds of things planned for you for the rest of this year and next. So get ready for that. But for now, this is all about spooky stories,
Mhm.
spooky personal stories. Should I start out with the devil and the medium?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Okay.
Let's scare them first.
Let's scare them right away.
Good idea.
So years ago, we had a medium on the show, psychic medium, lovely lady, and
Mhm.
she was recovering from pneumonia. We weren't sure she was actually going to make the show, but she did. And we started interviewing the medium, and all of a sudden, both of us heard a squeaky office chair.
Mhm.
And it was getting louder and louder and louder. It was so distracting. It was so annoying. And I was like, oh my God. Now we were on Blog Talk at the time and
Right.
they had a separate room. You could bring people in during the commercials and talk to them and nobody else could hear it. So we brought her in and said, hey, would you mind changing your chair? Maybe like a straight back dining room
Yeah.
or something like that, because your chair is so loud. It's squeaky.
Mhm.
It's like, that's not me. I'm in a straight back chair, not an office chair. And that squeaky noise isn't coming from my chair. Well, we knew it wasn't coming from our chairs. So
For sure.
at that point, we knew we had a visitor, an
Oh, really?
unwelcome visitor who was making a lot of noise and annoying us and the audience too, because who wants to listen to that when you're trying to hear the guest?
Mhm.
So we came back from the commercial and we talked about it. We said, well, apparently we have a visitor and the visitor is unwelcome. And hey, visitor, we want you to leave. You're making too much noise. So leave. And it stopped. It just stopped, which was great. So we went on with the interview and it was a great interview. It was a lot of fun talking to her. After the show was over, I had a camera here and I got up and I took a picture in the room. And Chanel, can you show everybody the picture of the devil's head that we
Yes.
there it is.
Mhm.
So there's the devil's head that showed up. So that was the entity that had been following this medium around
Mhm.
and probably followed her because she wasn't feeling well. Because whenever you're doing this kind of any kind of mediumship, psychic work, whatever, you really have to be 100%. And she had been trying to recover from pneumonia for a long time. Our opinion was this thing latched onto her and followed her right into our studio as we were doing the interview.
Lucky us.
So, anyways, I called the medium and got her assistant and said, hey, look, I just need to tell you, and I'll send you the picture, but this is what's been following her around. And she really should do a big cleansing, do whatever she does
Yeah.
to keep herself safe and her space safe. And it probably did attach to her because she wasn't feeling well. But I wanted her to know about this so she could attend to it. I never heard back from the assistant or the medium. But I did take the picture and I sent it to Dr. Gallagher.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you may remember Dr. Gallagher. We interviewed him a couple of times. He is a board certified Harvard psychiatrist, excuse me. And he is also an exorcist and works with people who are possessed and who have paranormal experiences around them. And that's how he knows if it's an exorcism is needed or if, in fact, medication is needed. He basically sorts it out, figures it out, and goes from there. So I sent him the photo and I asked him, I said, what do you think? And he wrote back, he said, that is definitely the devil. Definitely the devil. So that was our experience, the devil and the medium. Just one of many.
Yes. It's always never nice to know who's coming to dinner.
Yes. And, again, with PK, with you and I mean, we've been at this for such a long time. It takes a lot to really frighten us. And we weren't frightened by it, but we knew it was something that this woman had to attend to, or things could, in fact, get worse.
Well, that's the thing you worry about, is what can predict a future event for them that might be negative.
Exactly. Because a lot of those entities like to make mischief, like the squeaky chair. It wasn't anything horrible. It was just annoying. So
it's depending where you sit.
Right. So, but making mischief like that can, like you said, turn into something else.
Right.
And you don't want to give it that opportunity. It needs to go away and not attach to somebody like this lady. So that was that story. So do you have one you want to share, BK?
Well, many of the people locally, and of course worldwide, know George Lugo. So George and I have been good friends for many, many years. And one day he decided he was going to stop by with his girlfriend. He wanted me to meet her. That was fine. And he pulled in the driveway and waited a little bit. And all of a sudden he finally came to the door. And I thought, well, what happened to you, George? Type thing. I opened the door and he looked at me and he said, how'd you change so fast? I said, what are you talking about? Because I had jeans on and one of those old sweatshirts that I like to wear. He said, were you just outside of the house and you were wearing this greeny dress with pleats on the bottom? My mother and I both have a dress. It's a chartreuse, pleated bottom, high neck top. I loved it. My mother loved it. My mother has been deceased for a number of years. And George said, well, I couldn't figure out how you managed to change so fast. I saw you on the side of the house and I thought your hair was different. I said, no. I said, I've been in here the whole time. And he went, it was your mother.
Oh my gosh.
And I showed him my dress and he said, that's what you had on. So we both had the same dress because we loved the color chartreuse. So after that, I kept watching George out of the one corner of my eye to make sure he wasn't, shall we say, exaggerating just a little bit. But he would come across different things like that with us over the years. And different times we would do different events. And he would ask a question about, did I just see, or did I just tell this person this, that he would see them and they would reiterate to him what he knew had been said. And yet I hadn't even talked to them yet.
Incredible.
It always surprised me when we would do things of that nature.
How long have you known George?
Oh my gosh. I've been in Tucson. I came in 92, probably 1994, 95. That long.
Quite some time. Yes. He is one of the most incredibly talented.
Yes, he is.
That you've ever introduced to me. Yeah, he's amazing. I remember on the show he talked about Jim Morrison not being dead.
That's right.
He wasn't on the other side. He was still here. So I believe that's true.
It's amazing how everyone has something that they've met at a different point in time. And we kind of pass it off as, oh, not really, possible maybe type attitudes. And many of the same things will happen here. I had a couple of ladies that are very into the spiritual side. And one is a teacher and one is also works very deeply with the other side. And they were here, we were having tea on the back patio. And then one stopped and she looked at me and she said, where have all these people come from?
Oh my
And I
goodness.
said, what are you talking about? Well, I live on a wash, and the way the wash comes down the street area. And the other lady that was with us, she lives further up the street on the wash as well. And it goes from behind her house and comes down the road and swings behind mine and continues on forward. Well, it was the trail, the Indians that had walked the trail.
Oh
And
my
this young
goodness.
lady sitting there, she said, I see them. And they're stopping and they're turning around looking at us. And now the one has their staff and they're going forward again.
Wow.
And she said, do you ever talk to them? And I said, I didn't know they were there. I never thought about it. So since that point in time, I do a little chatting once in a while when different things transpire. And it's kind of interesting in a way when you stop and think about nothing is really gone. It's just at another level.
Right.
It's like, well, hear the coyotes at night. And sometimes you could go out and you could almost feel something else there.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't just, and it's, of course, they're having their own little song fest, but
Right.
you wonder what they're really seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And from this trail that you're talking about goes off and continues on down out of the state of Arizona.
Gosh.
Scary.
What a wonderful experience. And see, this is again for us, it's nothing to be afraid of. It's like you were very comfortable knowing that these Indians and Native Americans were walking through the property, that your friend was able to see them. It's just to you and I, this is normal. So, and I think that's also you and I being so relaxed with this is something that draws more of this in.
Agree.
So that we have more experiences. So one of the next ones I wanted to talk about is the dog that barked.
Yes.
This is amazing. We had a guest on the show who had written a book about her relationship with her dog. And this was a television producer. And as you recall, she never had owned a dog in her life.
Right.
She was a cat person, but she was on a shoot. She was driving in a big SUV and had a terrible accident. And the SUV rolled over numerous times. She ended up in the hospital. It was quite a bad accident. While she was there, and she was from New York City, and she was there recuperating in the hospital, and she thought, you know what? I just need to get a dog.
Uh-huh.
So here she is recuperating from this major accident. She almost died. And now it's time to get a dog. So she had never owned a dog. She didn't know what to do, but she got this dog. And she said, I didn't know what I was doing, how to house train, how to feed I didn't know what I was doing. But she had such a heart connection with this dog. They were like soulmates. And I think the name of the book might have been Soul Dog. So
sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think that was the name of it. And she was delightful. And it was wonderful to talk to her because she had so many great stories to tell about her relationship with her dog and how everything came to be. Her dog eventually passed away. And when her dog passed away, she held her dog in her arms. And she said she felt just the soul and spirit of the dog just move right through her. So we were feeling you and I, very touched by this whole experience. It was so emotional and so beautiful. And all of a sudden, we heard barking.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you didn't have any dogs.
Nope, still don't.
I have two, but they were 3 levels up from where I am. And our guest had gotten a new dog, but her new dog was asleep at her feet.
Mm-hmm.
And we all asked each other, did you hear that? Mm-hmm. And our guest said, I recognize the bark. That was my dog. And it was clear as day. It's on the tape. That was her dog. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, we started crying. It was like an incredible moment.
Oh, definitely.
Connection. I mean, her dog was just on the other side, still communicating with her, still letting her know, I'm here. And so that was a very beautiful moment, and not spooky again, but just touching and reminding us all that, yeah, they're all still right here, just like what you were just saying, PK. It's just on another level.
Do you remember the young lady that had a store not too far from where you went? And she had the fairies in the garden and the little shoes that were left. I'm trying to remember that story, but I can't.
Katrina.
Yes.
Yes, I remember it. Do you want me to tell that story?
Tell them about that, because that was such an interesting story. And I always think about that, and it can't help but make you smile.
Oh my gosh. Well, Katrina is a very powerful bruja
Mm-hmm.
and witch, and she had a piece of property with a beautiful house on it in Northern California.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of fairy energy there. So she would leave little things for them, you know, milk and honey and wine and things like that.
Yes.
So one night, I guess the fairies had quite a shindig, and she came out. Katrina came out in the morning, and there were glasses spilled over, and stuff was all in disarray. But she was looking around, and she saw these little tiny shoes,
Mm-hmm.
and little pink shoes, and she thought, "Isn't this nice? They left a gift for me." So she picked up the little shoes, and these were smaller than a dime. I mean, that's how small they were, because she sent me a picture and there was a dime next to it. And they were smaller than that. So she put them in the house, and her life turned to shit.
Mm-hmm.
Everything started
Yes.
going bad. Oh my God, poor Katrina. And she couldn't figure out. She was like, why? What's going on? And then she thought, the shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And then she realized the shoes were not meant for her. It's just that the fairies kind of left them there in their stupor, in their party time, whenever the shoes were left. So she brought them back and left them there. And they disappeared,
Mm-hmm.
but her life went back to normal. So, yeah, you have to be careful. She informed us with fairies, because sometimes they are giving you a gift, but you got to know the difference. If you take something that doesn't belong to you, then you will pay a price.
Well, you know, the thing that's surprising about it is the fact that you don't think about something like that taking place. Wasn't it her husband that told her, get those shoes back outside?
I think he may have contributed to the message that you did the wrong thing.
Yeah, let him go. Let him go back.
Right.
But there's so many things that go on around us that we just take for granted and don't think about it. But then if you start piecing it together, it's like doing a big jigsaw puzzle.
Right.
One piece fits here, and the next thing you know, you do get the rest of the story. But sometimes it takes a lot longer than you anticipate.
And, you know, I think in our culture, we've learned to take our intuition and our connection to spirit, and we turn the volume way down.
Oh, yeah.
So we can't hear it, you know, so it's important in your meditations or whatever, prayers, turn the volume way up, because then you can hear the messages much more easily. So I think that's an important exercise to do. So it's a good one. It's a good one. But yeah, those fairy shoes.
Oh, yeah. I can remember you telling the story about that. I'm going, oh, my goodness gracious.
Yeah, that was something else. My goodness. And also, I can tell the story to everybody. And I don't know if I've told you this yet, PK. The story of the haunted house in Rocky Hill, Connecticut that I lived in. So it all started when I lived with my ex-husband in a condo in Rocky Hill. It was a lovely condo, but we were building a house and it was far from ready. So we were in the condo, and I went to leave one day to go, I think I was supposed to pick him up somewhere in Hartford. And there was this long line exiting the condo property. I'm like, what in the world is going on? Well, turned out there had been a bank robbery. So they were stopping, the police were there, and they were stopping each and every car, looking in the trunk, in the back seat, looking for the bank robbers, because they couldn't figure out how they got away. And so they were searching everybody. So it was a long haul waiting. But anyways, what happened was we eventually completed the house and moved in. And it was right down the street from our condo. And it was in a lovely cul-de-sac surrounded by trees. And there was woods in the back that backed up for quite a few acres. So I hear in the middle of the night footsteps, heavy footsteps. Boom, boom, boom. My husband's next to me. I wake up out of a sound sleep. Somebody's in the house. Oh my God. And this is before cell phones and security cameras and all that kind of stuff that you could do with your house. So I hear the footsteps, boom, 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 coming up the stairs. And then I hear somebody jiggling the doorknob to the bedroom. And I'm crazed. I'm like, oh my God. Call the police. The police come. They go through the house. There's nobody there. So this goes on night after night after night. And I am now getting clearer pictures of this person. He's wearing work boots and a flannel shirt, and it looks like he's got reddish hair. And I'm like, what is this? You know, why is this person here? This is a brand new house. And here's this person coming. And I wasn't the only one hearing it. Then we had a dinner party one night, and we hear large pieces of furniture being dragged across the floor right above us. But there's a guest bedroom up there, and just dragging it back and forth. And so we go running upstairs. Nobody's there, not a thing out of place. So we go back to having dinner. Eventually the noise stops, but we have no idea as to what's really going on. At that time, I had a housekeeper named Beverly. And Beverly would often come to me and say, did you call my name? Somebody's calling for Beverly. I thought it was you. You're the only person here. I'm like, no, it wasn't me. Then we would walk through this archway in the house, and it would smell like rotting flesh.
Ooh.
Just in that one spot. It was disgusting. So it was like, ugh, you know, rotting flesh. So these things continued. And then Dahani Yawahu, the Cherokee medicine woman we've also had on the show, she came to stay with us for a weekend, and she was doing a workshop for my clients. I had a teepee out in the backyard, and I would do dream groups there. And she said, can I sleep in the teepee? Sure, no problem. So she went to sleep in the teepee, and in the morning, we all sat down for breakfast together, and she said, do you know you have a man running through your backyard and in your house with his gun drawn, looking for the money?
Oh.
And I was like, oh my God. And then I told her all of the experiences, and she said, well, listen, I tried to get him to look to the light and leave, but he wouldn't. He wants that money. So I called after Dahani left that weekend. I called the local police in Rocky Hill, and I said, is there a file or something I could read about this bank robbery? Well, the next thing I know, the detective who was on the case is at my door. And he said, well, tell me why you're interested. And I told him of all the experiences we had. And then he said to me, we caught 2 of the guys. We never caught the 3rd guy, but we knew there was a 3rd guy. And he opens up the file and he shows it to me. He said, and their accomplice, he points to this woman's picture. Her name was Beverly.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah. So it was like,
amazing,
all of a sudden, it just all came together, you know? Like, here's the pieces of the puzzle. We never found the money. We looked.
I bet you did.
I did. Couldn't find it. But what did happen is that was just the beginning of a portal opening. Apparently his murder opened up a whole big ring of power here. So we had other experiences from that point on with other entities, and it never stopped from the time that this started to the time I moved out. It was nonstop entities coming in. You'd hear the doors open. You'd hear footsteps up into the office. You go there, nobody's there. Same thing. So, but it wasn't always this guy. It was sometimes other entities.
Mm-hmm.
So we had quite a lot of fun in that house. But yeah, at first it was terrifying. I have to say that was terrifying because you're sound asleep and you hear heavy boots coming up the stairs and jiggling the doorknob. It's a really frightening thing. And that was
for sure.
before I was a gun owner. So yeah, I just like I didn't have a weapon.
Well,
Probably
maybe.
good. It's probably good I didn't have a weapon. But anyways, yeah. So that's a haunted house in Rocky Hill.
God.
Yeah.
When I lived in Annapolis, Maryland, we used to go to the Eastern Shore periodically. And the one area in the Eastern Shore, a lot of the older homes had been turned into little businesses. And it was around Christmas time. And we stopped at this one place. We'd been there for lunch and that a few times. And then we decided to take a jet over to this house that was decorated beautifully. And they had Christmas things for sale. And I thought, well, that'd be nice because it's more the Eastern Shore style as opposed to what we would ordinarily have. So we went there and I was walking around and the woman said to me, there's an upstairs. And I said, oh, really? She said, if you'd like to go. And I said, yeah, because what they had there was interesting on the first level. But there was something that I just felt like I was missing something. So I went upstairs and like walking into cold storage. It was like it took your breath away. It just hit against you. And I can't even explain how it felt. Almost like you walked into like an icebox or something. This strange feeling that came over you. And I looked around. Nothing that I saw would be anything I'd even want to purchase or bring downstairs with me. And I couldn't get out of there fast enough to get back downstairs. So when I got down, the woman said, did you see anything of your liking? And I said, it was the strangest feeling. And I said, it was so cold up there. And she looked at me, she said, our heat's on throughout the house. And I said, it was the strangest feeling of coldness and that chill, that uneasy chill. She said the owner of the house had committed suicide up there.
Oh, no.
So they did not have any idea that his remains were still there, obviously. And of course, lucky me had to meet Beelzebub. But it's scary. I couldn't get out of that house fast enough. It's just like somebody sitting on your chest.
Wow.
It was that eerie.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the stuff that's so uncomfortable sometimes. And then you don't know what to do with it, but just get away from it is the best thing. So that's what you did. Yeah. Wow.
People feel things at different times, but we kind of push it off as, oh, that's just whatever, without really looking at what it is or where it's coming from.
Yes.
And there are so many times that in a day, in a lifetime, that we walk into things, we try to understand what it is, but it's easier to say, oh, one of those things doesn't mean anything. But if we really stop to take a look at those things that pop up with that, shall we say, eerie or unbalanced feeling, take a look at what's really going on around. Did something really happen there? Is there something that's happening there now? Or is there something that I'm being informed of because there's something maybe we could do about it? I think sometimes we get feelings about things. If we were to take the step forward to check it out, we might stop some negativity from taking place or possibly add something very positive to the people around it.
Yes. Why not explore it? As long as you're comfortable with it, explore it and see what the message, there might be a message just for you. Who knows?
Definitely. And if not, run the heck.
Run as fast as you can. Well, this is a bit of a spookier story. I went to Egypt for a few weeks and I brought back some of the little Usheptis, which are like little figures from that were in the tombs. And we've been back about 3 or 4 days, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and this was scary. I saw this thing, it just like pounced on my chest. It was looking like a demonic figure, but it was from Egypt. It didn't look like something that we're used to seeing in the work that we do. So this thing jumps on my chest and I screamed. I just opened my mouth and went, just the loudest scream. My husband wakes up going, "What the heck's wrong with you?" and, and then this thing just ran away. Well, there's a book called A Search in Secret Egypt by Paul Brunton, who's an historian. Now, Paul was traveling in the Valley of the Kings on his little donkey, and he encountered this man who was an adept. And this man stopped him and said, "I need to tell you something." He said, "Your people, they're opening all these tombs. And that's a very bad thing to do because the ancient Egyptians, they bound entities in with these tombs. So to keep them protected. And every time you guys open a tomb, you're letting this energy out. And so bad things will happen and you won't know why. You won't know where this is coming from, but this is where it's coming from. You need to tell them to stop opening the tombs." And so, of course, here I am, with my little ushaptis that I carry home from the tombs. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, gosh, So anyways, I thought that was a very scary experience. I'm glad the thing left. I don't know where it went, but I was glad it left. And after reading Paul's book, it informed me it's not a good thing to do because the ancient Egyptians knew what they were doing. And they would bind these beings in there, and that's where they stayed until somebody opened the door and unsealed. So, but it was a very, very strange experience. I'm sure my husband by then thought I was totally crazy. First, it was the guy in the work boots. Now it's the Egyptian demons following us home. So, anyway, so that was a really interesting experience.
That's when you look at him and see
but the other thing that we've also, yeah, right. Robin Foy. We had Robin Foy on the show from the Scole experiment a number of times. It took us a while to get the whole story out of him about what was going on with that. And that whole Scole experiment was so remarkable. I mean, they were able to get manifestations, and people would have full body manifestations in their group. So they had 6 mediums sitting in a circle. Newspapers from 200 years ago would drop out of the ceiling. They'd have them analyzed, and it was the ink and the paper and everything from 200 years ago. So the Psychical Research Organization over there, which is very well known, I should say, they got involved, and they were just stymied by the kinds of things that this group was producing. It was just above and beyond anything anybody had ever done. And we were lucky enough to get Robin on the show a bunch of times. But before we had Robin on the show, 3 nights before we had him on, I woke up and my room was filled with people from like the 1800s. And I didn't know what they were doing there, but they were also very, I want to say visceral. It's like I could reach out and touch the lace dress that one of the women was wearing. And I couldn't figure out why they were there. Because at that time, Helene was involved with all of this. And Helene was a very good psychic medium. Like, why aren't they going to her? So, but they didn't go to her. So anyhow, Robin's work was so extraordinary, and it inspired us to start our own group and to see what kinds of things we could produce. So one of the things that we produced, and Chanel, I'll ask you to put the picture of Angel, my dog, up on the screen for everybody. We were told, there's Angel. Angel was my dog who lived over 35 years ago. And when we got together, we were told to use a bell jar and then take pictures of whatever came up in the bell jar. So this is one of the pictures. This is my dog, long deceased. And yet there she was. Very clear as a bell. That's Angel.
Mhm.
So that was one of many unusual photographs that we got. There's another one, Chanel, with that little being on my shoulder. Yes.
Mhm.
And this, as you can see, this thing is on my, I have no idea what that is, except it's an interdimensional of some kind.
Mhm.
And there's another face right underneath his face. But we had things like this show up. We had things like this talk to us, and it was a very humbling experience to know. First of all, we're not the only ones here. There's a
No.
lot of other interdimensionals, ETs, all kinds of entities around us all the time. We just don't know it. We just don't see it.
Mhm.
We're so focused on just everyday reality. But there's that. The other thing that happened, and this was before we actually formally started the group, I live on 75 acres of land, and there is a very long driveway. It's about 2/3 of a mile long. There
Mhm.
are no lights on this driveway. In fact, there's no lights in the whole town. The town is tiny, and there's no lights, no street lights. There's no lights. So we have cameras up and down the driveway and driveway alarms. So if somebody's on the driveway, I know it.
Mhm.
And I went to get the cards out of the cameras. And Chanel, if you can put the orbs up, I'll explain these orbs. This is right before. Now, that is an orb that takes up the whole width of the driveway. To the right is a deer. Now, none of the driveway alarms went off, but the cameras took this picture. Then there was another picture right after that, and you see that the deer
Mhm.
moved a little bit. And then there was another picture. And what's so fascinating is this one looks like there's little feet
Yeah, I was gonna say, it looks like it's walking.
right underneath it. And that was the last picture that was taken of this size orb. And I showed these to Robin, and he said, we've never gotten anything like this. We usually get it only in our presence, but there
Mhm.
was nobody there. There was nobody on the driveway. And yet here this thing shows up. We had another one, which I didn't give to Chanel, but it is same size orb, actually a little bit smaller, and a coyote was standing right in front of it. You could see the hair on the coyote's tail standing up, and it was scared to death. And then you saw one more picture like that, and then coyote's gone. It's like just
I can see why.
off.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it was a very good photo, and it was very meaningful because the coyote was there, and the coyote was focused right on that orb.
Yeah.
So we had lots of, as you know, I sent you a lot of the pictures that we were getting, lots of pictures, and they had to end their skull experiment, which was very devastating for them. But what happened was there was another group that was like them, but in the future. And that group was trying to contact their group. And when they sat down to do their group that night, a Time Lord showed up, just like in Doctor Who. Time Lord showed up and said, I'm sorry, but you can never do this again. You are not allowed to contact your team on the other side. You're not allowed to do any of this with this group anymore. And he told them why. They were so upset. They were devastated.
Mm.
They tried it anyways, and they were hit with a terrible shrieking sound. So they couldn't concentrate.
Mm.
So they couldn't take it any further. But their team on the other side, those are some of the same people that came to visit me 3 days before we all met. And they had been working with Robin and his group for over 5 years. So it was like family to everybody.
Makes
And
a difference.
they did so many amazing, amazing things. So Robin went on and moved to Spain. He tried to start a new group, and I was still doing some work here with a new group. And I thought, I should reach out to Robin and just say hello, see what he's up to. So I called him on Skype, and I couldn't get him, but I left him a message, and because he was now in Spain. And then we went to meet at our group, and I look up to see who's meeting with us tonight from the other side, and there was Robin.
Mhm.
And I turned to my team members and I said, "Robin, he's there." And I was so surprised, and then I grabbed my phone and I looked him up, and sure enough, he had passed away a couple months ago. So he had joined our team on the other side,
Mhm.
and oh my God, what a great man! All of what he accomplished with that group, just phenomenal. But how integrated it was with some of the work we've done, and I so wish I had been able to get him on the show one more time.
Yeah. Amazing.
I know,
Absolutely amazing the things that transpire.
I know. It's just incredible. And you know what else blew my mind about his work and their work in the UK is it wasn't much covered over here.
Mm-mm. No, not at
It
all.
really got no press, and I was horrified because I'm like, God, this is like the best stuff ever, and nobody's talking about it. Nobody's sharing it. Nobody's going, "Oh my God, we should do more groups here and see if we can replicate what they're doing." But we just that nobody was interested. There is a movie everybody can watch on YouTube about Robin's work. It's called The Afterlife Investigations.
Mhm.
And it's an actual full-length movie about everything that they did and how they did it. So I highly recommend that to everybody.
It's amazing the things that transpire that basically, in some respects, are totally normal, but we see them as totally abnormal.
Yeah, and they're really not. I think calling them abnormal by
Mhm.
what we now call the mainstream media
Right.
and all of their hoaxing with what they try to get you to believe is
Mhm.
using even that term abnormal, like you were saying.
Yeah.
It turns you off to it. It's kind of a warning, 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 you're getting
Mhm.
involved with things that you could be judged for. You could be seen as crazy. You could be seen as, a little bit eccentric, not a good thing.
Mhm.
So, yeah, just labeling it like that,
Oh,
it's
definitely.
very much dissuades people.
Oh,
But we're now in a time when it's been more accepted, so that's a good thing.
yes and no.
Say more.
Yeah.
What?
Well, when you take a look at what's accepted today, we're more aware of things that have transpired. There's proof that they exist, but yet there's still that segment of society that would rather demonize it and make it non existing than to be able to bring this information together so it could grow and open up and become bigger so that we could actually see all of it instead of bits and pieces.
Well, we need to see all of it, and I think that's one of the whole directives of our show is to bring more things to people to begin to understand this. There was just somebody I was looking at their work about giants
Mm-hmm.
and talking about how all of these museums that have had the bones of giants, how they've hidden them or they've
Mm-hmm.
destroyed them or they've buried them somewhere else so that we can't truly know the history of who has been here on the planet.
Right.
So there are people who still have those bones in place and people who've witnessed museums destroying evidence like this. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we deserve the whole truth. And we're certainly not getting it. We're certainly
Oh,
not getting it from the UFO end, are we?
not hardly, not hardly. I remember being at the institute in Washington D.C. and they were showing things from Brazil and from the uh, people that were small people. They're different things, and they were showing different masks that they used and whatever. And I'm standing there looking at them and going, they didn't look like them, so that was different. But I looked at them and I'm going, my God, they look just like us.
Hmm.
So a different generation or generations by whatever standard, nothing is new under the sun. If I'm looking at something from the Brazilian point in time that they say didn't exist anyplace else, and yet they look just like John Q. Public walking down the street today.
Mm-hmm.
How did that happen? There were no planes, had no trains.
Right. Right.
Drop die for dinner, I guess.
Well, someday we've got to have some ETs drop in for dinner. We've certainly had enough experiences of seeing them in the sky. You and I have both seen that. And hey, you're out in Arizona. You guys are seeing UFOs almost all the time. It's a big deal where you are.
There's a lot of things going on that it's so much easier for those powers that be to tell you that they don't exist. Yet, look at how many people are seeing these things or being a part of these things. Well, Bigfoot, we had a guest on. They had their group that went up into the mountains, and that they would take certain foods for them. The foods would be gone. They would hear from them, and all of this ongoing, yet didn't really exist. It didn't happen. Gee, isn't that funny?
Yeah, you're thinking of Dr. J, Matthew Johnson. He's a psychologist. He's, a highly regarded family therapist who had this experience.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of people who are highly educated and have had these experiences, and they are not about to be quiet about things like this. Which, hey, that takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot to share all of this with people, and yeah. So we've had some good experiences ourselves. We've just got the tip of the iceberg out tonight for all of our audience. But if you guys have any stories to share out in our audience, please get a hold of us. We'd love to hear your story on the air. And hey, I'm sure there's some great ones because we have a great audience. So I know we've got some good ones out there. They've got to get a hold of us. And you'll find our contact information on the website, which is supernaturalgirls.com. You will also find PK's information if you would like to have a numerological reading and find out what's coming for you, just you in particular. Then get a hold of PK and she'll set up a time and go over all of your numbers with you and let you know what's happening. And you'll also probably, I know you were giving people the number to change the energy of their address. I've been working on mine. So we got to get back in touch with Lon and Deborah and all the people that you gave changes to see what different.
They've gone for them. Definitely.
Yes, absolutely.
Take advantage of everything we can because it's always a door opening to another learning venture.
Yes, it is. It is. And I also want to mention we have some really incredible products. We've got a new one. I'm going to be sharing a link. You can get 10% off on the biomats. And these, some of them are heated. That's what I have. I just got a heated mat and I turn it on before I get into bed and I am snuggled up and feeling warm. And I get out of bed in the morning and I'm warm. I love it. And it's made with all kinds of amethysts and other crystals and very healing. Some of them have PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic frequency. Some of them have photon lights. So I'll put that link up, and anybody who wants any information on that, make sure you get a hold of me. I'd be happy to share that. I'm not selling them, but I use them, and I wanted to make sure that everybody out there who wanted one in our audience could get a 10% discount on it.
Definitely. Sounds great.
Yes. Yes. So we're almost out of time. I feel like we just sat down to do the show. Well, look, everybody, we're going to be back next week and we're going to have another great show. But in the meantime, we wish you all the best. Be safe and we will see you on the Blue Highway. Good night, everyone.
Good night.